So hi. So actually, it's a presentation. I wanted to entitle it "My Life," but it's kind of self-centered. So I decided to call it that way. So the main idea is to tell about how I came into Debian and what interests I found in the project. First of all, I will speak a little about myself. So I'm quite new to the project. I'm a system and network engineer / architect at ANSSI, which is the French national authority regarding IT security in the public infrastructures. I became a developer 1 year ago, in October 2018. Before that, I was a maintainer for less than a year. And I'm a contributor since I don't even really know when. And before that, I was a user. And I'll come to that right now. So, how I came to Debian. When I arrived at ENS Cachan, I entered into a non-profit association which is called CRANS, and which provides network to around 1,300 users. This photo is actually perfectly non-accurate, but it's really a technical place for CRANS. It was, at least. Now we have better places. And so it was a spring morning in Cachan. This one is not accurate either. And I was like, okay, I should do something in the associative life because my studies are quite nice, but I want to do other things. And if I remove the trolling part, when I came to CRANS, there was a lot of things to do. First thing is to exchange with our subscribers or members to help them to solve their internet issues. But there is also a big technical infrastructure. And CRANS in production uses exclusively Debian. For virtualization, we also use Proxmox, as the previous talk was speaking about. But it's Debian-based, so we can say that we only use Debian right now. And many members of CRANS become Debian developers at some point in their life. So there is Nicolas, who is actually here, and is the guy who gave me interest to the project. So I couldn't not name drop him. And there are many other people, but I will speak about Vincent Bernat and Stéphane Glandu because they also gave me some interest to specific topics. Stéphane is the first one who introduced me to packaging. When I saw the first Debian rules file of my life, I was like, I don't want to live in this planet anymore. But since then, I came back, and right now I contribute to make people feel awful. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm really happy with that. This organization created, in my opinion, an incentive for me to contribute to Debian. It took me some time. I wanted to understand well the way the user space was working, to know a little about the ecosystem before trying to dive in. And it took me some time. Actually, I arrived at CRANS in 2010, and I think the first time I tried to backport something for our local mirror, it was we were already in 2012, so 2 years later. One of the things I tried to do at the beginning was reporting bugs. I realized that it's not as simple as I thought, because as an end user, you can say this thing doesn't work, but it's not really useful if you don't provide a lot of insight to the maintainer to help him find out what is the real issue. So actually, reporting bugs is a place to start. Many people find not really interesting, but it's quite the center of the activity when you are an end user and you want to give feedback to the developers. I think I did that for 2 or 3 years before actually submitting a real contribution to the project in sense of packaging or fixing bugs or things like that. And I was also tweaking some packages also for CRANS, and it was really an interesting activity, but it also forced me to learn about kilts and the way we include patches in the packages. And I must admit that at the beginning it's kind of disturbing. In 2015, as a Mailman user, I realized that Mailman 3 was coming out of a box. It was really nice to see that. Later, I realized that willing to package it was kind of a big thing for a first real contribution to the project. But still, I managed to do it, so I'm happy with that. I sent first emails to ask for advices, people to who would be motivated to help me, at least to review my work, in September 2015. It took me some time to succeed at making something, but I finally, 6 months later, asked for some review in March 2016. And I will come to that later, but I had a lot of issues that reported a lot, that delayed a lot the arrival of Mailman into Debian archive. First, I had troubles to get help on packaging the hyperkitties, missing dependencies into the project. Hyperkitty is the archiver part of Mailman. It's also a website which allows people to dive into these archives. And Mailman 3 was not ready to be in the archive because it was not compatible with Python 3.5, which was the actual version of testing when I tried to package it. So actually, it kind of delayed the thing for 1 year, between late 2016 and when Jonas Meurer, who is not here right now, but who helped me a lot, arrived and offered me his help to try to finish the work. What's good is that in 2017, finally, Mailman developers were able to release a Python 3.5 compatible version. So roughly in October 2017, we got the first version of the Mailman server into the archive, and 2 months later, the whole suite of Mailman was in the archive. From that, I discovered a very funny thing. It's when it's written auto-rm under your package in your DDPO page, and was like, okay, what's happening right now? And so I discovered the joy of having to help people maintaining the dependencies to fix the dependencies in order to not get your own package removed because a dependency was flowy. And it made me come from 6 maintained packages to actually 36. Mostly because of that, some because of LXC3, but it's the next talk because you will have to suffer with me for an hour. I'll speak, you will listen, and you will get bored. So the idea is I joined the Python teams, both applications and model teams. The idea was to contribute to fixing release critical and missing version bugs for packages. As for an example, I had to work on Python Blast, I had to work on AIO SMTPD and things like that to get these packages in a good shape so that Mailman doesn't get out of the archive because of these packages. It's really a good incentive when you spend a lot of time on a package. It's really a good incentive to contribute maintaining all the things it depends on, because you don't want to see your work getting outside. And this led me to care about quality assurance. Why? Because in the real life, quality assurance is the best way to make sure that a package has a good chance of not falling down unexpectedly. The first tool I met is Lynchon. It's probably the oldest QA tool in Debian. I didn't find any older tool. The first thing in the mailing list is dating from 1998, which is actually quite old. It's essentially a policy checker tool. It can do more stuff, but its main usage. And it's written in Perl, so I cannot co-maintain it because my skills in Perl are like, okay, I open this file, I know it's Perl, I want to close it. But actually, I really sympathize with people maintaining it because it's a nice tool. It really helps to avoid some common mistakes that can explode in your heads later. Like, oh, I included some files in my user lib Python directory which are not Python files, but that can mess with the library you packaged. I tried to follow each and every advice I was finding in the package, also reporting bugs when some issues were reported by Lynchon which were not legitimate. It's sometimes hard because sometimes following Debian's policy is hard, but it's a good thing because it helps to avoid some issues. So please, check your Linchen output. When you package something, run Linchen. It takes like less than a minute, and it gives you some intel about things that can be messy. And don't hesitate to ask Linchen to be pedantic. You will feel like you are speaking to a real developer. It's really nice. The second thing I want to talk about is continuous integration. I guess it's not new for anybody, but the fact is that in Debian we have a nice continuous integration infrastructure. I guess it takes some time to maintain it. I spoke a little with Antonio Tercero about it. Many really critical bugs on the dependencies of Mailman 3 were some things that I could have spotted with continuous integration properly implemented. So quickly I was like, okay, I should really implement upstream tests in auto package tests for all my packages and all dependencies I try to maintain. It takes, compared to Linchen, it takes a lot of time, because having tests working properly is not as easy as just writing a Debian test control file and send it away and see it work. But it really helps to spot issues quickly. And despite it taking some time, the time it saves you afterwards is quite bigger, in my opinion. Many packages I had to fix were not properly implementing auto package tests, and so I tried to do it, and it helps a lot. And the third thing I want to talk about, after that I will speak about team packaging, is reproducibility. So the first ideas came in the 2010, it's the 10 first years of 2000, but without any implementation. The kickoff was when Lunar held a talk about it at DebConf 13, which, if I'm good in memories, was kind of here. Not in that room because it's too small, but you get the idea. And so first thoughts were drafted on the wiki after that. And a first rebuild was kind of done in 2013, showing that more or less 60% of the packages were reproducible, which means that 40% were not. It's the important part. And a second one was done before FOSDEM 2014 in the idea of making it advertised. In less than a year, a custom toolchain was working for every package built with Developer, which is actually quite nice to see that it took only 1 year for such a project to emerge from the floor and become something not fully reliable, but working. And the project was really democratized in 2015 at FOSDEM. It was included in the tracker, in the DDPO page, and now it is what we know about it. Many issues I met were about packages failing to build from sources, packages failing to build reproducibly, and sometimes it's due to some updates of dependencies, either direct dependencies or transitive dependencies. And many times it's a matter of integration. So it takes some time to fix these issues, but having reproducible packages today is really something needed. Actually, I think at some point probably it will become really critical to have no reproducible packages. It helped me to fix another set of issues, ones that were not fixed by continuous integration. So that's for the main examples I wanted to talk about QA as in QA team. So you can go on the wiki to see there are a lot of projects about quality assurance, and I just scratched the surface of the topic. And that leads me to the most important part for me, which is that Debian is a collection of people trying to package stuff, work together, design policies, and in a whole making a good operating system. We have a lot of teams, but in the way Debian is structured today, the idea is that it's a duocracy. When you package something, you hold the package. It's yours. It's your baby. You can do whatever you want with it. And nobody else is supposed to take it over from you, even though some processes exist to take over some things when things are not going well. We could talk about CTT or things like that, but it's not the main purpose. It's hard to take over a package. Last year, first draft of the salvaging process was designed by the MIAA team. It's now in the developer guidelines, so it's one process that allows someone to take over a package when its maintainer is not doing is not giving it the love the package needs. But what works well is to have teams, people that assemble in groups to take care about packages that respect common, that are comparable. Example, Python team, Perl team, or things like that. So the MIAA team, which I am a member of, tries to facilitate package transmission when the maintainer fails to do his work. It's something that is needed as soon as the maintainer of a package is a person and not a team. It can be a pain when somebody is just making the bare minimum to take care about his package, but is still active, so you cannot say, okay, this package is not maintained, we have to take it over. And in my opinion, teams are a good answer to that. The best example I know is the Perl team. As I suck at Perl, I didn't join the team and I'm not contributing at it, but I think it's the one that functions in the best way. In Python team or Go team, as for an example, we have a policy that I don't really like, which is the maintainer uploader field policy. When the package is on the maintainer field, everybody is supposed to be able to maintain the package and upload it without asking to anybody else. When it's in the uploader field, the name of the team, the main maintainer still has a way to decide whether or not we upload a package. So it's team maintained, but not really. And I don't like that. It's something I didn't see in the Perl team. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there is no such policy. So there is some progress because many teams emerged and people are working in this. So many packages are right now team maintained, but we still have some progress to do. The positive thing is that I'd never saw a team really go MIA. I think it exists, but I didn't see it for now. Generally, you have less entropy per packages when you are in a team. Many RC bugs I met with Mailman 3 dependencies were easy to fix because by joining Python team, I was able to maintain the packages and get uploads done really quickly, instead of having to send a mail to somebody who probably wouldn't answer quickly and to depend on somebody else to get the packages fixed. An alternative I want to mention, even though I don't advocate for it, is the low threshold NMU, which is a wiki page where people can register and say, okay, you can maintain my packages without my agreement, with some conditions, criterions you have to respect. You have to know about this page. I know many developers that don't know about this page, so I guess it's a first issue. And it's less efficient than a team, in my opinion. So what could we improve? In my opinion, a good thing would be to go on our maintainer pages and see how many packages we personally maintain, and maybe find a team where it could go. That's something I try to do. I have one package that doesn't follow this rule, and I'm really sad with it, but I don't know where to put it right now. The teams are really good to make Debian contributors start contributing, because they are a space where they can commit their changes. They can't upload by themselves, but they can do the work and test their work and ask for somebody else in the team to sponsor their work. It's quite easy to start in. When you try to maintain your own package in your corner, it's really harder to ask for some help. Still, there is mentors.debian.net, which is really useful as a project and a team, but team maintaining is really efficient for Debian contributors to start in. And in my opinion, regarding Python team, as for an example, the policy regarding maintainer and uploader field should disappear, and a team maintained package should just be maintainable by each and every member of the team without asking to the original packager. It doesn't mean that we don't have to respect the fact that somebody worked on a package. And if we see that he's active, it's better to not walk on his feet. But it's not the same to be respectful because you think it's important and to have to ask to somebody else before uploading a fix for a package. So I tried to help with that. I joined the QA effort, I joined the MIAA team, I tried to team maintain my packages. And in a whole, in the 2 last years, becoming a Debian developer was not the most important part for me. It was really to try to have good packages maintained properly with nice people and to try to interact properly with people when packages they are maintaining were faulty regarding my needs or really critical bugs or things like that. I also tried to sponsor contributors. It's not really easy because they tend to always submit requests for sponsorship instead of coming back to somebody who already sponsored them. So I try to tell to the people I sponsor, yes, you can come back whenever you want to ask me to help you for some packages. And I also try to do application management to help having new people in Debian because actually Debian is essentially about people. And you can help too. Please try to team maintain your packages. Try to be welcoming with contributors when they want to join a team. Try to use the different QA tools that exist and that are really good. And don't hesitate to ask questions. Thanks.